took a zoo, but the animals got out.
This ship collected 5 different life forms from the darkest corners of the universe. Monsters.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the full series of Alien Earth. Now, this, I initially reviewed the first couple of episodes, I think, of this when it first started showing. And I was impressed early on with this. I thought it started off very, very well, and in case you don't know, it essentially starts with... You've got this child genius, really, who, played by Samuel Blenkin, who essentially puts the essence, mind, thoughts of children into synthetic bodies. The first one he does this with is Wendy, played by Sidney Chandler, and then he does it with a whole array of others. So it's essentially children in adult bodies, and these adult bodies are synthetic, so they're very, very strong and worth a fortune, billions really. And then there is a spaceship that crash lands in his district, this boy genius, his district, the Waitan Yutani section. They want this ship because it belongs to them, and it's actually been all over the place collecting dangerous alien samples from the four corners of the galaxy, and they want to kind of study them, but it's crash landed in the wrong district. So the boy genius is saying, forget it, you're not having it back, and he sends his synthetics into this alien ship without realizing that actually there is a full xenomorph on the loose in this ship that causes absolute chaos. Cut a long story short, he captures them, Boy Genius and his crew, puts them kind of in a secure location, starts experimenting with them. It all goes terribly wrong. Waitan Yutani wants the specimens back and will do anything to get them back, and basically so on and so forth. Right. What are my thoughts on Alien Earth? Well, after a really strong start, and I genuinely did enjoy the first couple of episodes. You'll have to excuse me if I sneeze because I'm just full of a cold. Try and gather myself so I don't sneeze. I genuinely thought the first couple of episodes were very, very good, very strong, and were very encouraging. The xenomorph looked genuinely terrifying. I thought they did really, really well to portray that. And I thought it was setting up what was going to be a really fun and enjoyable last 5 or 6 episodes, whatever. But unfortunately, what happened is, I think, as it went on this show, it didn't get better. It went on a steady decline as far as I'm concerned, to the point where I think the creative ideas just fell off a cliff by the end. The finale was ridiculous, and they turned one of the most iconic horror characters, i.e. the xenomorph, into a domesticated pet by the end of the show, because Wendy learns how to communicate with them, and basically they do her bidding. The xenomorphs by the end of this series, it's just ridiculous. It really is ridiculous, and I was aghast at the direction that the show was going in. You've got these synthetics. Okay, let's go. These synthetics, basically children in, as I've said, grown-up bodies that are synthetic. Some of them are clearly malfunctioning. That's very, very clear. There's one in particular that's absolute psychopath, that they don't seemingly do a great deal with, and the way that the actors do the performances it's almost like straight out of drama school how they think a child would react, like almost like having a paddy at times and stuff. And it's cringy. It's absolutely cringy, and it gets right on your nerves by the end of this show. Trust me, the first couple of episodes, 2 or 3 episodes, it's kind of you're curious to see where they're going with them, but they do nothing really with these synthetics. And this so-called boy genius that, is the stupidest supposedly intelligent character I've ever seen in a show ever. And it's one of those where you just can't wait, actually, to see him getting munched. Abysmal character. In fact, abysmal characters in general. There's nobody really here to root for. I mean, I was rooting for Wendy and her brother in the early stages of the show. By the end, I couldn't have given a monkeys because, she was making questionable decisions and he was just damn annoying. So I think the only episode I can honestly say after the first couple of episodes that I've truly quite enjoyed was the one where they did a flashback to the ship where before they crash landed on Earth, sort of thing, where they were collecting these specimens and bringing them back. And that felt, I mean, obviously they were just doing a riff on the original Alien, but it was cool to see like all the original technology and everything from the first Alien, them dressed the same, all that kind of stuff. And while it's a poor imitation of Alien in a lot of ways, that episode, I still quite enjoyed it. The rest of the episodes, the final 3 episodes, I just felt they dragged terribly. And it's like, for example, I think, was it the second to last episode? It was a whole episode that they dragged out, where the goal of that episode was to get a facehugger on somebody, a human. Now, most, alien films, you do that in a couple of scenes, 10 minutes tops, less, and you do it infinitely better than this episode did it, and it took them a full 45 minutes plus to get this facehugger. And it's like each episode, there was a primary goal of that episode. And it took them a whole episode to kind of get where they wanted to be. And it just dragged it out. It was... it was draining for me. And each episode as well, not to be all massively critical, each episode also had signs of something interesting in there that they never really focused on again. But as well, so many of the characters here, these supposedly highly intellectual synthetics, doing stupid things. I mean, ridiculously stupid things. I can't tell you how stupid. They've got these aliens in these research things, safe and secure. And what does one of these synthetics do? It goes into one of the enclosures to kind of give it its meal or whatever it is it's giving it. And guess what happens? But then... Not only does the synthetic do it, this billion-dollar piece of equipment that's supposed to be highly intelligent, but clearly it isn't. Why would you spend so much money on a synthetic body just to put a child's consciousness in it that behaves like a child? It's just madness. Okay, so they've got this, synthetic in there that making ridiculous decisions, and then one of the top scientists in the complex comes in, sees him in there, and goes in himself. You're just shaking your head in disbelief at the absolute ridiculousness of a lot of the stuff that's going on in these episodes. I just felt it would get sillier and sillier. good. It might surprise me. It didn't. I just thought it was just not very good, and I'm very desperately disappointed after such a good start. I've no idea where they're going to go with the second series, but the way this one ended, it ain't going to be anywhere good. I think they're absolutely going to ruin. I think Disney are going to ruin this franchise. I really do. And I'm a bit worried about it now, I can't lie. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on Alien Earth. I wasn't impressed as a Alien fan, a veteran of the films. I do think they've absolutely missed a mark here after a very, very positive start. And, yeah, I was very, very disappointed overall. So that's my thoughts on Alien Earth. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. If you enjoyed this review, please leave a like. It does help the channel. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. You will be most welcome, and I will, of course, be back with plenty more content on the channel very, very soon.